The role of public opinion cannot be ignored, as Charles's popularity has fluctuated over the years. Some have suggested that the king may have felt that stepping aside was in the best interest of the monarchy, allowing Prince William and his wife, Catherine, to take on more prominent roles. The abdication of King Charles III has thrown the royal family and the nation into a state of reflection and uncertainty. This decision, rooted in a complex mix of personal, familial, and public considerations, is unprecedented in the modern era. While the monarchy has weathered many storms, this particular event signifies a turning point that may redefine the future of the British royal institution. In the weeks leading up to the abdication, there were subtle signs that all was not well within the royal household. Close observers noted a shift in Charles's public demeanor. His appearances, once marked by a sense of duty and tradition, had become more subdued. Behind the palace walls, the weight of the crown seemed to be taking a toll on him. Although no official statements were made at the time, there were whispers of the king grappling with the demands of his role, compounded by concerns over his health and the increasingly complex political landscape in the UK. Reports have surfaced indicating that King Charles sought counsel from his closest advisors, including senior members of the royal family and trusted confidants. The discussions were said to be intense and fraught with emotion, as Charles weighed the responsibilities of his position against the realities of his personal circumstances. It is believed that he considered all possible outcomes, including the impact his decision would have on the monarchy, his family, and the nation. Ultimately, it seems that the king reached the conclusion that stepping down was the most responsible and dignified course of action. For Queen Consort Camilla, this period has been particularly challenging. Known for her resilience and quiet strength, she has always supported Charles through the ups and downs of public life. However, the prospect of him relinquishing the throne has reportedly shaken her deeply. Camilla's emotional response highlights the personal sacrifice and the human aspect of what is often seen as a purely institutional matter. The tears she has shed reflect not just her concern for Charles, but also the enormous changes they now face as a couple, transitioning from the roles they have both prepared for over many years. The royal family, now faced with the task of navigating this transition, is likely to undergo a period of internal realignment. Prince William, who has been steadily preparing for his future role as king, will now have to accelerate his readiness to assume the throne. William's ascension is expected to bring a new energy and direction to the monarchy, one that aligns with the expectations of a modern, diverse Britain. However, this transition will not be without its challenges. William will need to strike a delicate balance between honoring the traditions of the monarchy and embracing the progressive changes that many believe are necessary for its survival in the 21st century. As the nation processes this seismic shift, reactions have been mixed. There is a sense of sadness and nostalgia among those who have supported King Charles throughout his life, recognizing his dedication to his duties and his efforts to address contemporary issues such as climate change and social inequality. Yet, there is also a sense of cautious optimism as people look to the future with Prince William at the helm. The British public, while often critical of the monarchy, also holds a deep respect for its continuity and the symbolic role it plays in national identity. The coming months will be crucial in determining how this transition is received and what it means for the monarchy's relevance in a rapidly changing world. Internationally, King Charles's abdication has sparked a wide array of responses. Royal families across Europe have expressed their support and solidarity, recognizing the difficult decision Charles had to make. The bustling streets of Brick Lane fell silent for a moment as King Charles III stepped out of his sleek black Range Rover. The monarch, known for his reserved demeanor, was about to embark on an unexpected adventure that would set social media ablaze and capture the world's attention. As King Charles walked into the modest Bangladeshi restaurant, Gram Bangla, nobody expected what was to come next. What happened after King Charles walked into this foreign restaurant, and what did he do? Join us as we explore exactly what happened right after. King Charles and Queen Consort Camilla made an unexpected visit to Gram Bangla, a Bangladeshi restaurant on Brick Lane in East London, known for IBT's many curry houses and cultural diversity. On a February afternoon, the royal couple's arrival surprised both the patrons of the Bangladeshi place and the staff working there. King Charles, dressed in his characteristic suit, created a welcoming and approachable atmosphere that was different from what one would expect from royalty of his status. As he interacted with those in the restaurant, the initial shock of his presence quickly wore off among both diners and employees, turning into excitement among everybody present. What happened next would end up captivating the entire nation. King Charles, known for his reserved demeanor, engaged effortlessly with the restaurant staff and patrons. He exchanged pleasantries with the owner, Shams Uddin, who has been serving the community for over 2 decades. The king's actions at the venue showed a genuine interest in the restaurant's history and cuisine. The highlight of the visit came when the king, in a moment of spontaneity, as he approached the counter, had his eyes light up with curiosity. "What's that you're making?" he inquired, gesturing towards a blender in operation. The young server replied, "It's a mango lassi, Your Majesty." Taking an action that was as unplanned as it was surprising, Charles asked if he could try his hand at making one. The restaurant staff, too stunned to do anything but nod, watched as the King of England rolled up his sleeves and stepped behind the counter. The sight of the monarch performing this everyday task struck a chord with onlookers who captured the moment on their phones. As news of the royal visit spread, social media was quickly flooded with takes and opinions. Videos of King Charles making a mango lassi were being circulated widely, and they were accompanied by popular hashtags. The sight of the king taking part in such a mundane, everyday activity struck a chord with people around the world, as it showed a more personal glimpse of the king than his typical formal appearances would. What began as a brief stop on a tour of East London soon became a viral sensation. The visit to Gram Bangla had somehow revealed a different side of King Charles.
Prince Harry speaking out in a really revealing new interview.
You didn't believe she was dead?
I just refused to accept that she was gone. Part of, she would never do this to us, but also part of, maybe this is all part of a plan. I think she would be sad. I think she'd be looking at it long term, to know that there are certain things that we need to go through to be able to heal the relationship.
Do you remember the popular tragic car crash that happened in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel?
Thursday marks 20 years since Princess Diana was killed in a car crash inside a Paris tunnel.
Yes, we're talking about the one that claimed the life of Princess Diana. Do you know the incident has been shrouded in mystery and speculation? Well, not anymore, as the truth has finally been revealed, and it has been all we have been suspecting about. Prince Harry's revelation about his mother, Princess Diana, has stunned the world. In an unexpected move, he confirmed the long-standing theories suggesting her tragic death was not an accident, but an orchestrated inside job.
Shocking allegations about Princess Diana's death. Authorities now reviewing the new and sensational claim that she was actually murdered by the British government.
This admission has sent shockwaves globally, igniting debates and discussions everywhere. Stay with us as we delve into one of the most heart-wrenching events in modern royal history: the impact of Prince Harry's revelation. The British royal family, already under intense scrutiny and criticism for various reasons over the years, is now faced with a new wave of skepticism and distrust, with the public and media frequently asking several questions such as, how far does the involvement of the establishment go, and to what length they would go to protect their interest? The idea that a member of the royal family could be targeted in such a manner by those living within the same circle is deeply unsettling if we're to be unbiased about it, and this act raises ethical and moral questions about the length power can corrupt.
With Prince Harry's tell-all memoir dominating headlines, it's hard not to wonder if the royals can survive the latest scathing attack.
However, Harry's revelation challenges the narrative that has been upheld for decades. The official story had initially provided a sense of closure, although it was a painful one to the millions of people who mourned the late Princess Diana. With Harry's new information, the public is forced to revisit and reassess their understanding of the events. It was a jarring experience, as many had come to terms with the tragedy based on the information that was previously available. Well, that was the case until recent times. Now they are confronted with the possibility that there was a deliberate and malicious intent behind the loss of a figure who was not only a royal icon, but also a humanitarian and a beloved public personality. But wait, there is more to Harry's revelation.
Prince Harry says he held on to hope that Princess Diana was secretly still alive, long after her passing.
Harry's admission didn't just come at the cost of revealing the truth behind Princess Diana. He also used the medium to express concerns about his personal life and the struggles he has been going through within the royal family. Harry is known for his willingness to speak out. Harry has always been seen as a rebel, a person who is unafraid to challenge the status quo, especially his decision to break away from the royal family and relocate to the United States with his wife Meghan Markle was simply a clear indication of his desire to forge his path.
A royal reversal from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They are stepping back from senior roles in the royal family. Harry and Meghan say they will work to become financially independent.
From Harry's revelations, it is evident that his actions were driven not just by personal choice, but also by a deep-seated to uncover and confront the truth about his mother's death. Even though his relationship with the media is complex, Harry is looking to set things right. So what are the revelations about Princess Diana Harry seems to know about? And is this move the preferred option for Harry? Then pay attention if you care to know more. The world's reaction to Prince Harry's revelation has been one of shock and disbelief. The whole world is talking about it. Social media is in a frenzy state, with each user to their own opinion, debates, discussions, and expression of their outrage and sorrow. Princess Diana was loved by everyone, and when the news about her passing in that crash, it sent everyone into a cold state as they mourned her.
As dawn breaks on the day of Princess Diana's funeral, the crowds are already gathering on the streets of London. 20,000 extra policemen and women have been drafted in to monitor the crowds.
Prince Harry's statement could potentially prompt a reinvestigation into Princess Diana's death, and if those responsible are found wanting, the public isn't looking for this case to be taken lightly. We don't care how powerful or influential whoever is responsible for this may be. They can't go unpunished. One user said, Princess Diana was an icon, admired and beloved by millions around the world. Her humanitarian work and compassionate nature endeared her to people far beyond the confines of the British Commonwealth. So the revelation about her death, being an orchestrated act and not an accident, will undoubtedly shock and dismay her global admirers. and can even lead to international calls for justice by countries with close ties to the British monarchy, such as Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. For historians and scholars, Prince Harry's admission opens up new avenues for research and analysis.
That Diana, Princess of Wales, who was injured in that accident you've just seen pictured of, has actually died.
The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon.
The story of King Charles and Princess Diana was once seen as a fairy tale romance, but behind palace doors, it was a whirlwind of heartbreak and betrayal. For years, hidden secrets and scandals shaped their rocky marriage, leaving Diana struggling to find love and support.
Charles has great delivery. I mean, he's practically like a Shakespearean actor.
What really happened between them? This shocking betrayal changed the royal family forever, and it's finally coming to light. Emotional distance. Emotional distance isn't just a relationship challenge. It's a silent betrayal that can cut deeper than words. In the case of King Charles and Princess Diana, their royal marriage was the perfect picture on the outside. But behind the palace walls, emotional distance was tearing them apart. Diana and Charles entered their marriage with high hopes and public adoration, yet they quickly found themselves on separate emotional wavelengths. Diana's vibrant personality and emotional openness clashed with Charles's reserved and duty-driven demeanor. While Diana longed for love, support, and genuine connection, Charles seemed to retreat into his own world, one that included Camilla Parker Bowles. The emotional distance between the couple grew, as Diana felt increasingly isolated. Despite her efforts to connect with Charles, his affection often appeared elsewhere. The betrayal wasn't just about infidelity, it was about the emotional neglect Diana endured while she fought to keep their marriage alive. Charles's inability, or unwillingness to meet her emotional needs, became a wound that never healed. For Diana, this distance wasn't just heartbreaking, it was soul-crushing. Her struggles with bulimia and feelings of worthlessness were amplified by the coldness of her relationship. She later admitted to seeking connection elsewhere, a response to the loneliness she felt within her marriage. What makes this story resonate even today is how relatable it is. Emotional distance isn't confined to royal relationships. Many people have experienced the pain of being in a partnership where they feel unseen, unheard, and unimportant. In Diana's case, her courage to speak out and share her truth shone a light on the emotional battles many people face behind closed doors. Charles's secret betrayal wasn't just his affair. It was the choice to emotionally distance himself from the woman who had once dreamed of building a life with him. The story of Charles and Diana isn't just a royal scandal. It's a reminder that emotional connection is the foundation of any relationship. When that connection is lost, the cracks are impossible to ignore. Camilla Parker Bowles. Affair. Behind the grandeur of the royal family, there's a story that shook the world. The affair between King Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles, a betrayal that left Princess Diana heartbroken. Their love triangle wasn't just a royal scandal, it was a devastating chapter in a marriage that was already on shaky ground. From the start, Diana sensed that Camilla was more than just an old friend of Charles. Despite their lavish wedding and the world's attention, Diana often felt like the third wheel in her own marriage. The emotional distance between her and Charles grew, fueled by his unwavering connection to Camilla. The secret affair wasn't just whispers in palace hallways, it was an open secret in royal circles. Diana eventually confronted Camilla at a party, bravely saying, "I know what's going on between you and Charles." Camilla's response? A dismissive retort that only deepened Diana's anguish. The betrayal wasn't just physical, it was the emotional bond between Charles and Camilla that left Diana feeling isolated and unloved. Charles's affair with Camilla wasn't just a blow to Diana, it was a seismic event for the monarchy. The revelation of their relationship, combined with Diana's candid interviews, shattered the fairy tale image of the royal couple. Diana's now famous words, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded," became a defining moment in their story. What made the betrayal even harder to digest was the perception that Charles had never truly let go of Camilla. For Diana, this wasn't just about losing her husband's love. It was about never truly having it in the first place. The Camilla affair remains a controversial chapter in royal history, but it also serves as a stark reminder of the cost of emotional neglect and betrayal. Diana's pain and bravery in the face of this betrayal left a lasting legacy, one that continues to captivate the world. Diana's confrontation. The royal marriage that once seemed like a fairy tale turned into one of the most heartbreaking and scandalous sagas in history. Princess Diana, known for her grace and charm, was blindsided by the betrayal of her husband, Prince Charles. But what happened when Diana finally confronted the woman at the center of it all? Camilla Parker Bowles? The dramatic moment is something the world never forgot. In the late 1980s, Diana's suspicions about Charles and Camilla's ongoing affair reached a boiling point. The emotional distance between Diana and Charles had grown too wide to ignore, and the rumors about their relationship were swirling in the media. But what could Diana do? The pain of knowing her husband was in love with someone else became unbearable, and Diana decided to take matters into her own hands. The infamous confrontation took place during a birthday party for Camilla's sister, Annabelle Elliott, and it was nothing short of explosive. Diana, her heart heavy with anger and sorrow, looked directly at Camilla and said, "I know what's going on between you and Charles." The tension in the room was palpable, and Diana's voice echoed with the rawness of her pain. Camilla's response was cold, dismissive, and utterly callous. She said, "You've got everything you ever wanted. A handsome husband, 2 beautiful children. What more could you want?" Diana's simple yet devastating reply left everyone stunned. "I want my husband." The conversation laid bare the emotional turmoil that had been eating away at Diana. The betrayal wasn't just about the affair. It was about her unfulfilled yearning for a connection with Charles. But that connection had long been lost. Diana's confrontation with Camilla revealed just how far Charles's emotional neglect had gone. It also revealed how powerless Diana felt in her own marriage, even as the world watched her every move. Her bravery in confronting the woman who had stolen her husband's heart only made the betrayal more poignant. This moment of truth would go on to shape Diana's legacy, forever remembered as a symbol of strength, courage, and heartbreak. Public confessions. The royal family's dirty laundry was never meant to be aired in public. But when Prince Charles and Princess Diana's troubled marriage started unraveling, the world was forced to watch every heart-wrenching detail unfold. The most shocking part? Both Charles and Diana made public confessions that revealed just how deep the betrayal ran. In 1994, Prince Charles shocked the world by admitting in an interview with Jonathan Dimbleby that he had indeed been unfaithful to Diana. In his own words, he admitted the affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, acknowledging that his marriage to Diana had irretrievably broken down. This was an unprecedented moment of honesty, especially from a royal figure, and it sent waves of shock through the public. For years, the rumors had swirled, but hearing Charles admit his betrayal publicly left no room for doubt. But the shock didn't end there. A year later, Princess Diana took to the BBC's Panorama interview to reveal her side of the story. In a candid and emotional confession, Diana spoke openly about her unhappiness within the royal family, her struggles with bulimia, and the emotional toll the marriage had taken on her. She even confessed to her own infidelity, admitting she had sought comfort outside her marriage after years of emotional neglect. One of the most memorable moments in her interview was her comment about the 3 of us in the marriage, referring to Camilla's ongoing relationship with Charles. Her words echoed the pain she had felt for years, having been pushed to the sidelines of her own marriage, while Camilla was always at the center of her husband's heart. These public confessions were a rare and shocking glimpse into the deeply troubled relationship between Charles and Diana. They painted a picture of 2 people trapped in a loveless marriage, each desperately seeking solace elsewhere. The revelations not only shattered the illusion of royal perfection, but also revealed just how far emotional neglect and betrayal can go, even within the walls of Buckingham Palace. Diana's struggles for years. Princess Diana was the picture of grace, beauty, and charm, always smiling in front of the cameras, a true people's princess. But behind that captivating smile, Diana was silently battling a storm of emotional struggles. The betrayal by Prince Charles and the constant heartbreak of his affair with Camilla Parker Bowles became an unspoken burden that weighed heavily on her. Diana's life within the royal family was far from the fairy tale many believed it to be. She found herself in a loveless marriage where her husband, Prince Charles, seemed emotionally distant. As the public continued to adore them as a perfect couple, Diana was left grappling with feelings of loneliness, inadequacy, and pain. Her constant battle with emotional neglect pushed her into a deep spiral, and it wasn't long before her struggles with bulimia and self-harm became part of her personal reality. But the most agonizing part? Prince Charles's affair with Camilla. Diana had always suspected something was wrong, and her worst fears were confirmed when the affair became public knowledge. While the world admired Diana for her grace, few could understand the profound hurt she felt in her personal life. She was fighting not only for her marriage, but for her own self-worth. Diana even admitted in interviews that her relationship with Charles was a bit crowded, a cryptic but clear reference to Camilla's constant presence in their lives. Diana's confession of her struggles was a turning point in her life. In her explosive interview with the BBC in 1995, she didn't hold back. Diana shared the truth about her pain, her fight with bulimia, and even her emotional breakdowns. Her courage to speak out, to expose the truth, was a pivotal moment in her life. But despite everything, Diana always longed for one thing: love and affection from her husband, something Charles never fully gave her. Diana's heartbreaking story is one of silent strength, the battle for love, and the pain of betrayal. Her struggles remain a poignant reminder of the human side of royalty and the cost of emotional neglect. Media scrutiny. Princess Diana's life was constantly under the watchful eye of the media, but the scrutiny she faced went beyond mere headlines. It was relentless, invasive, and at times, downright cruel. As her marriage with Prince Charles unraveled, the media played a huge role in exposing the secrets that the royal family tried so hard to keep hidden. But what many didn't realize was that the public's obsession with their troubled marriage only made things worse for Diana, especially when Charles's secret betrayal was finally laid bare. For years, Diana had been painted as the innocent, wronged party in her marriage to Charles. But the truth of her suffering went far deeper than the media could ever understand. As the press began to catch wind of Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, the tabloids and gossip columns were quick to sensationalize every detail. The media didn't just report the facts, they took pleasure in adding their own twists, often portraying Diana as a broken woman. Every move she made was scrutinized, every tear she shed dissected. But it wasn't just Diana who was affected. The public's fascination with her pain spilled over into the royal family, and suddenly, Charles's betrayal was a matter of public interest. The media did not hold back in exposing the affair and the emotional turmoil that came with it. They painted Charles as a man who had failed his wife and his country, and painted Diana as the victim, a woman deserving of sympathy and support. While the public followed every twist and turn of the royal drama, the media failed to recognize the emotional toll this constant scrutiny had on Diana. She was not just a princess or a symbol of hope for the British people. She was a human being, struggling in ways that no headline could fully capture. The media's relentless coverage of Diana's marriage and Charles's secret betrayal finally forced the truth into the open, but it also led to an invasion of her privacy that would haunt her for the rest of her life. In the end, while the public may have been captivated by the royal drama, Diana's personal pain was far more complex than the tabloids could ever portray. Queen Elizabeth's intervention. The royal family has always prided itself on maintaining a strong, united front. But the cracks in Prince Charles and Princess Diana's marriage were becoming impossible to ignore. While the world watched their relationship fall apart behind the scenes, Queen Elizabeth II was quietly stepping in to restore order and bring an end to the chaos. Her intervention, though discreet, would prove to be a game-changer in the scandal that rocked the monarchy. For years, Queen Elizabeth had remained relatively silent about her son's marriage woes. However, as public interest in the royal drama grew, and Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles was exposed for the world to see, the Queen could no longer stay on the sidelines. Despite her usual preference for privacy, Queen Elizabeth's role in the royal family meant she had to act, especially when it came to preserving the dignity and image of the monarchy. In 1995, the situation reached a boiling point. Charles had publicly admitted to his infidelity during an explosive interview, and the marriage was beyond saving. That's when the Queen decided to take a bold step. According to reports, she wrote a personal letter to Diana.
And he, Lord Mountbatten was probably the closest person to him, and Diana said to him, "You look so sad,"
urging her to grant an early divorce from Charles. This letter was not just an official royal request. It was a motherly plea for Diana to help bring closure to the marriage. Queen Elizabeth's intervention was carefully worded, emphasizing that it was in the best interest of the country and the royal family. She even signed the letter with "Love from Mama," a gesture that showed her genuine concern for Diana's well-being. While it was clear the Queen wanted to protect the family's image, the letter also showed her emotional understanding of the situation. By stepping in, Queen Elizabeth sought to end the public spectacle and bring peace to the fractured royal family.
To marry into the royal family and to become a future queen.
Her intervention helped pave the way for the eventual divorce between Charles and Diana in 1996. However, the betrayal Charles had inflicted on Diana would never be forgotten, and the royal family's efforts to restore their reputation were ultimately overshadowed by the lasting emotional damage caused by the affair. Divorce and aftermath. The divorce between Prince Charles and Princess Diana was not just the end of a marriage. It was the dramatic conclusion to years of tension, public humiliation, and heartbreak. After the media frenzy and public revelations about Prince Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, the royal couple finally called it quits in 1996. But the aftermath was far from a simple split. The impact of their divorce rippled through the royal family, the public, and even the press. For Princess Diana, the divorce marked a new chapter in her life. Despite the heartache, she handled the situation with a resilience that made her an even more beloved figure. However, the scars of her marriage were deep. Diana's struggles with self-esteem, mental health, and public image continued long after the legal documents were signed. Her need for love and affection, which had been ignored during her marriage, left her searching for solace in other relationships. Prince Charles, on the other hand, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief after the divorce. He was now free to pursue his relationship with Camilla openly, something that had been hidden for years. Despite the relief, his actions didn't come without consequence. The royal family was under scrutiny more than ever, as the public's trust in the monarchy began to wane. What followed was a bittersweet phase for both Charles and Diana. The divorce, while offering a sense of freedom, didn't mend the emotional wounds that had been inflicted over years of betrayal and emotional distance. The royal family's attempts to appear unified couldn't mask the rift that had grown. Despite the personal and public battles, both Charles and Diana carried the emotional weight of their broken marriage. In the end, Charles and Diana's divorce was a turning point for the monarchy, exposing hidden betrayals and pushing the royal family into a new era of scrutiny and transparency. Their story may have ended legally, but the emotional consequences of their troubled union lingered long after. Charles's tribute. After years of public scrutiny, betrayal, and a bitter divorce, King Charles's tribute to Princess Diana at her funeral took everyone by surprise. His unexpected gesture spoke volumes about their complicated relationship and left the world questioning what truly lay beneath the surface of their tumultuous marriage. The relationship between Charles and Diana was far from perfect, filled with emotional distance, infidelity, and heartbreak. Yet, despite all the drama and the affairs, including his well-known love for Camilla Parker Bowles, Charles's tribute to Diana at her funeral gave a glimpse of a deeper connection. While much of their marriage had been marked by tension and separations, his final act of respect suggested that he still held a certain regard for the woman who had been by his side for so many years. At Diana's funeral, Charles made a quiet but powerful statement by choosing to wear a navy suit instead of the traditional black mourning attire. To many, this might have seemed like a simple wardrobe choice. However, it had much more significance. Diana had always loved seeing Charles in navy, and this tribute, though subtle, was a poignant nod to their shared history. Was this Charles's way of showing that, despite all the pain and betrayal, he had a deep respect for Diana's legacy? Some royal watchers believed it was his way of acknowledging the tumultuous years of their marriage, filled with love, loss, and ultimately, profound sadness. Others speculated that it was an attempt to make amends for the betrayals that had stained their relationship over the years, offering a final, personal tribute to the woman who had once been the love of his life. Charles's tribute to Diana raised many questions, leaving the public wondering if there were feelings and regrets that he had never fully expressed during their marriage. While his actions couldn't undo the past, they did offer a glimpse of the complex emotions he may have carried for the rest of his life. Diana's legacy. Princess Diana's legacy continues to shape the world. Even long after her tragic death, her story was one of immense love, devastating betrayal, and unimaginable strength. But behind her iconic public image, there lay a deeply personal story that was often overshadowed by the royal family's secrecy and the scandals surrounding her marriage to Prince Charles. The world watched in disbelief as Diana's marriage to Charles crumbled under the weight of emotional distance, public scrutiny, and Charles's enduring relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. While Charles's betrayal was widely known, Diana's resilience and unwavering spirit were what truly defined her. But what often gets overlooked in the shadows of these betrayals is how Diana's impact still ripples through the royal family and beyond. Even after the divorce, Diana's influence remained powerful, especially on her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. Diana's advocacy for causes like HIV/AIDS awareness, her work with landmine victims, and her campaign for mental health awareness changed the way the world viewed royalty. She gave voice to the voiceless and used her platform for good, making her the people's princess in every sense of the word. Charles's betrayal of Diana was deeply damaging, not just to their relationship, but also to the monarchy's image. Yet, her legacy outshone the controversies that defined much of her marriage. Her charitable work, her warmth, and her relatability connected her with people worldwide, unlike any royal before her. In the aftermath of her death, Charles's tribute at her funeral and his decision to wear navy instead of traditional mourning black sent a signal to the world that there was more to their relationship than what had been publicly revealed. It was as if Charles was finally recognizing the woman Diana had been, and the profound effect she had on his life. Diana's legacy lives on not just in the charity work she championed, but in the lives of her children and in the hearts of millions who still remember her with love.
Actually, it's interesting. Sounds rather sort of bizarre, but I did go to Diana's coffin the day after I'd written it.
The innocence about her, you just thought, wow, this girl is knockout.
In a moment that has stunned royal watchers worldwide, Charles Spencer, the 9th Earl Spencer, and beloved brother of the late Princess Diana, has finally addressed the persistent rumors that have circulated for decades about his sister's life and death. At a commemorative event marking what would have been Diana's milestone birthday, the normally composed Earl broke down in tears before making revelations that threatened to reshape our understanding of modern royal history. This extraordinary moment of vulnerability and truth-telling has sent shockwaves through monarchist circles and beyond, reopening wounds many thought had finally begun to heal. The significance of this moment cannot be overstated. For nearly 3 decades, Earl Spencer has been the stalwart guardian of his sister's legacy, famously promising at her funeral to ensure that her blood family would guide her sons so that their souls are not simply immersed by duty and tradition, but can sing openly. His carefully measured public statements about Diana have always balanced familial loyalty with appropriate discretion. Until now, that is. Why now? Why at 60? Those close to the Earl suggest that reaching this milestone birthday, an age Diana herself never reached, prompted a profound reassessment of family obligations and historical truth. Charles has carried these burdens silently for decades, reveals one longtime family associate. There comes a point when the weight of unspoken truths becomes unbearable, particularly as the principals in this story age and the historical record begins to solidify. The revelations center on the final years of Diana's life and the circumstances surrounding her tragic death in Paris. According to Earl Spencer, the level of establishment resistance to Diana's independent path was far greater than the public has ever been told. What my sister faced wasn't simply media harassment or palace disapproval, he reportedly stated through tears. There was a coordinated effort to control her narrative, her movements, and ultimately her legacy that went beyond what anyone has acknowledged publicly. Most explosively, the Earl has apparently confirmed long-whispered rumors about unusual surveillance in the weeks before Diana's fatal accident. While stopping short of endorsing conspiracy theories about deliberate harm, Spencer described a pattern of monitoring and interference that deeply troubled Diana in her final months. She called me from secure lines, changed her plans constantly, and expressed fears that seemed paranoid at the time, he revealed. I regret more than I can express that I didn't take those fears more seriously. This revelation casts new light on Spencer's famous funeral oration, particularly his pointed reference to Diana being hunted. What many interpreted as grief-stricken hyperbole about press intrusion may have had more specific and concerning foundations. Charles has carried the guilt of not acting on Diana's concerns for 27 years, says someone familiar with the family. This disclosure is as much personal unburdening as it is historical clarification. For Princes William and Harry, their uncle's disclosures create complex new emotional territory to navigate. Both princes have spent decades processing their mother's death and constructing their own understanding of her life and legacy. Spencer's revelations potentially disrupt those hard-won narratives with new information about the forces that shaped Diana's final years. Royal sources suggest William was made aware of his uncle's intentions before the public statement, while Harry's prior knowledge remains unclear. The different positions the brothers now occupy, one at the heart of the institution, one removed from it, create inevitably different contexts for absorbing these revelations about their mother and the establishment's treatment of her. The Earl's relationship with his nephews has reportedly fluctuated over the years. Initially cast as a potential guardian figure following Diana's death, Spencer's role became more peripheral as the princes grew into adulthood within the royal framework. Recent years have seen apparent warming, particularly with Harry following his step back from royal duties. These new revelations may further complicate these relationships, particularly with William, whose future role requires careful management of institutional relationships. For King Charles and the palace, this development represents a significant challenge. The monarchy has worked diligently to move beyond the turbulent Diana years, gradually rehabilitating Camilla's public image and establishing a new royal narrative focused on stability and continuity. Spencer's emotional disclosures threaten to reopen questions many in the palace had hoped were settled. The timing is particularly sensitive given recent royal health challenges and the reduced number of working royals. A resurgence of public interest in Diana's treatment potentially undermines confidence in the institution at a vulnerable moment. Palace sources indicate that the response strategy will focus on respectful acknowledgement without engagement with specific claims, emphasizing the significant passage of time since these events. Public reaction has predictably divided along already established lines. For those who have always maintained skepticism about the official narrative of Diana's death, Spencer's revelations feel like vindication after years of being dismissed as conspiracy theorists. For others, his disclosures seem unnecessarily painful, reopening of historical wounds without clear purpose or resolution. Social media has exploded with renewed discussion of Diana's final years, with younger generations discovering or re-examining this history through the lens of Spencer's emotional testimony. The Spencer family's historical standing and Charles's reputation for measured public statements give these revelations a credibility that more sensationalist claims have lacked. What makes the Earl's disclosure particularly powerful is his historical reluctance to speak publicly about these matters. Unlike others in Diana's circle who quickly monetized their connections through books and interviews, Spencer has maintained dignified discretion for decades. This established pattern of restraint means his decision to speak now carries exceptional weight. The specific timing, at age 60, approaching the age when mortality becomes more tangible, suggests a man taking stock of his historical responsibilities. There's a sense that Charles feels this may be his last significant opportunity to influence how his sister's story is understood by future generations, explains one royal historian. As the last living person with intimate knowledge of certain aspects of Diana's experience, he carries a unique burden of witness. For the Spencer family more broadly, this moment represents a reassertion of their historical significance after years of being somewhat overshadowed by Windsor narratives. The Spencers, with their distinguished lineage predating the Windsors' royal status, have maintained a dignified distance from royal dramas, while occasionally reminding the public of their important role in Diana's formation and legacy. Mental health experts note the powerful symbolism of Spencer's emotional display. For a man of his generation and background, public tears represent an extraordinary breach of established codes of aristocratic restraint. This visible emotion communicates something important about the gravity of what's being disclosed, notes one psychologist. It signals authenticity in a way that mere words might not. The legal implications of Spencer's disclosures remain unclear. While he has reportedly been careful to avoid specific accusations of criminality, his statements about surveillance and institutional resistance to Diana's independence potentially raise questions about proportionality and propriety of actions taken by various authorities. Legal experts suggest that the significant passage of time makes any formal investigation highly unlikely. For historians of the monarchy, Spencer's intervention represents a significant new perspective that must be integrated into scholarly understanding of the late 20th century royal narrative. These aren't claims from a peripheral figure or someone with an axe to grind, notes one royal biographer. This is testimony from someone at the absolute center of the Diana story, speaking after decades of careful reflection. As the impact of Spencer's emotional disclosures continues to reverberate, attention inevitably turns to whether this represents his final word, or the beginning of a more comprehensive account. Sources close to the Earl suggest he has maintained extensive diaries throughout his life, materials that would provide unprecedented insight into the private Diana few were privileged to know. What remains most poignant about this moment is Spencer's evident continuing grief for his sister, nearly 3 decades after her passing. The tears that preceded his revelations spoke volumes about the emotional cost of both maintaining silence and finally breaking it. For all the historical and institutional significance of his disclosures, this remains at heart a story about a brother who lost his sister under traumatic circumstances and has spent a lifetime processing that loss. For those who continue to hold Diana's memory sacred, Spencer's testimony offers both validation and fresh pain. The suggestion that her fears in those final months had more foundation than was acknowledged forces a reconsideration of narratives many had reluctantly accepted. It raises uncomfortable questions about whether more could have been done to protect her, had her concerns been taken more seriously. The Spencer family motto, "God defend the right," seems particularly poignant in light of these disclosures. After decades of restraint, Diana's brother appears to have concluded that defending what he sees as right requires speaking uncomfortable truths, regardless of institutional discomfort or potential backlash. It is a position entirely consistent with Diana's own evolution from shy royal bride to outspoken advocate willing to challenge powerful interests. As this extraordinary story continues to unfold, one truth remains self-evident. The legacy of Diana, Princess of Wales, continues to exert profound influence on both the monarchy and public consciousness nearly 3 decades after her death. Her brother's emotional testimony ensures that influence will extend to new generations who never experienced the Diana phenomenon firsthand. For Charles Spencer, now standing in his truth at 60, the path forward involves navigating the consequences of breaking his long silence. For the monarchy, it means absorbing yet another chapter in a story they have never fully controlled. And for William and Harry, it means integrating new perspectives into their understanding of the mother whose loss has shaped their lives in countless ways. In royal history, this may well be remembered as the moment when the carefully constructed official narrative about Diana's final years faced its most significant challenge, not from sensationalist outsiders, but from the tearful testimony of the brother who knew her best and loved her most. For an institution that has weathered centuries of crises through strategic adaptation, this moment calls for particular wisdom and restraint. The monarchy's greatest strength has always been its capacity to absorb new realities without fundamentally changing course. That resilience will once again be tested as it navigates the fallout from Spencer's unexpected moment of emotional truth-telling. Whatever comes next, the sight of Diana's brother finally giving voice to long-held concerns after decades of dignified silence has created an indelible new chapter in one of the most compelling and tragic royal stories of modern times. At 60, Charles Spencer has ensured that his sister's truth, as he understands it, will remain part of the historical record, alongside the more sanitized official accounts of a woman whose life and death continue to fascinate and move us nearly 3 decades after her passing.